The Broward County Sheriff's Office is in full CYA mode this evening, pushing back against an avalanche of criticism about questions of its conduct during the Stoneham Douglas school shooting. That includes information first reported exclusively on the Angle, when a well-placed source told us that deputies were told not to enter the school during the shooting unless their body cameras were on, a charge now being denied. The sheriff's office is also denying reports that a captain told deputies to form a perimeter around the scene instead of going in to confront the shooter. It says the perimeter was formed after the shooting had stopped. Joining us now with reaction is Jeff Bell, president of the Broward County Sheriff's Deputies Association, and former L.A. police detective Mark Furman. Gentlemen, great to see you. Jeff, let's start with you. Boy, they were issuing today, after all these days that these reports were out there, a flurry of denials. Let me read to you what the Broward Sheriff's Office said in its fact check on body cameras. Any suggestion that Sheriff Scott Israel or any other deputy from Broward Sheriff's Office ordered body cameras to be turned on prior to entering the school is false. What's your reaction to that? We had two well-placed sources tell us that, in fact, it was the case that they were told not to enter unless they had their body cameras on.
Well, I think this just further affirms the union's position that we're calling for the Broward Sheriff's Office to be totally transparent in this investigation and to release the information out there, because by releasing parts of this information that they have today, it just further creates more speculation that there's some hidden truth back there. There may or may not be, but it sure does give the appearance that something is being hidden from the public.
Mark, there seems to have been quite a lag in the sheriff's office, releasing these clarifications or fact checks. There's obviously enormous pressure on Scott Israel to resign, given the repeated visits to the Cruz household, the red flags, one after the other missed. But now he says, well, this idea that there was a perimeter set up, that was only set up after the shooting had ceased. From what you're gathering and what you've seen, what's your reaction to these series of fact checks released today?
Well, Laura, if I was going to assume that this captain, this female captain, ordered a perimeter to be set up while she's not at the scene, that would go against every tactical operation that I've ever heard of, been part of, or anything else. The people that were in charge of that scene were the deputies that first arrived. They were in charge of that tactical scene. They make all the calls. To have anybody make any kind of a call on the radio is incompetence at the very best, and probably gets worse from there. It seems that there is nothing that they can account for immediately. It takes them a week, 10 days to come up with an excuse that still doesn't pass muster on what happened at that location. Those deputies didn't go in for a reason, but that doesn't let them off the hook. Those deputies are deputies. They're cops. They have a situation there, and they need to act. They don't have to wait for an order. They're capable and trained. They need to go in and confront the shooter. That was their job.
And Jeff, when you go back and look at this horrific situation, horrific shooting, we all know we support our police. We love our police officers. We love our first responders. But we also can learn from what happened on that day. Everyone wants to run to gun control. I get it. That's what the left is going to do, and even some Republicans. But we do have some basic facts that are just facts that we would certainly learn about if we had the police transmission over the radio released. And this reminds me of the the Las Vegas shooting, where we still haven't seen videotapes of the shooter checking into the hotel, bringing all the bags. Like we just like it never happened. We never see the video. Why haven't we seen more video, and why haven't we heard the audio of the police response? Jeff, I'd like your response, and then Mark, very quickly.
Well, that's $1 million question that nobody knows the answer to, and that's why we're demanding the transparency on this. Listen, if we did something wrong, we did something wrong. Let's learn from this and move forward. The only way to recognize that there's a problem is to actually be honest and truthful for it. But we have to move forward with better training in this agency. I've said it before, $887 million revised budget last year in the Sheriff's Office, and we don't even have our own gun range. That's unacceptable. And the training that we do have, I got to give credit to the sergeants and deputies that put on the classes with what little they have to work with. But if we're going to get serious about problems like this and addressing the next problem that comes down the road, we have to look at ourselves and learn from incidents like this and move forward.
Mark.
Laura, we don't need to wait for the videos. Can you imagine how many 911 calls came out from those children inside that school? There was probably 1,000, 2,000 cell phones in that school.
Great point.
How about releasing some of the 911 calls? Because that should have been relayed to those officers that were responding exactly what was going down. Nobody thought there was shots outside. Everybody knew there were shots inside. Let's actually get real here. Everybody knew what was going down. They bobbled this when they were outside of the school and people died. That's the long and the short of it.
All right, guys, fantastic segment.